Hello, Gino, Marizio. How are you?
I'm great.
Good to have you here. This is Marsha's Moments with Men,
Yes.
and today we have live with us Mr. Gino Marizio. So, Gino, let's jump right in. Tell us about the work that you're currently involved in, and does this work align you with your passion and purpose?
Uh, well, the work I'm involved in, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a musician. I'm a percussionist, drummer, and I do a little bit of freelance work, but one of my main uh, acts that I play with is a guy named Pablo. He's a recording artist, sort of a world music, Mediterranean, and we travel all over the world and we play music. So absolutely. I am doing what I love to do, and I guess the stars aligned, and I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm in the place I should be, as far as I know. So, yes,
So
everything
you
seems to be aligned.
Well, you played with Pablo for 20 consecutive shows, finishing last Friday, right here in Toronto at the Jazz Bistro. How was that experience for you?
Well, we do a fair bit of touring. We do about close to 150 shows a year. So we were on tour at the time he suggested it. He said, "I've been touring for 20 years. I want to do something different and special. We normally play larger theaters, anywhere from 500 to 2,000 plus. And so he said, I want to maybe let's do 20 shows in 20 nights, ending on my birthday to commemorate this 20 years of touring." And I thought he was a little crazy. That's wow, 20 shows in a row. And, but we did it. It was a little difficult, but we really focused. We had great attendance, met a lot of new people. And the whole thing behind it was what he wanted to do was see all the people and do an up close and personal, intimate setting type thing. There was only 100 seats, and that's exactly what happened. We could see everybody, we met everybody, and 20 days later, it was great marketing for the band. To tell you the
Yeah.
truth, we didn't realize that it would be that good, and we had a different guest every night, and he gave away his guitar every night. So it was an incredible 20 nights of music. I had a blast. Marsha, you were there for a few of them,
I
at
was
least.
there for four of them. And listen, let me just jump on my phone because I want to let people know that we are live now.
Okay, yeah. Spread the news.
Yeah, spread the news.
Start
Yes.
spreading the news.
And speaking of which, I saw you last night.
Yes, with Big in Japan.
Yeah, so just hold that thought.
Okay. I can talk and while you're typing.
Okay.
Anyway, good to be here. Good to be a
Yes.
part of this whole thing that you're doing, interviewing men, and
Yeah, it's fabulous. And it gives men a platform like yourself to speak about what you do.
yeah,
And this whole project that I'm involved with right now with men, really, people have been coming to me and saying, you should be doing this and you should be doing this. So I'm going to be starting something else with this too.
yeah,
Now, the other thing, I saw you live last night again, but
yeah.
in a whole different musical context. So tell us about that.
Well, that's a band, sort of a band in town around Toronto, the GTA, that I play in with Curtis Freeman on bass and Michael Shotty on guitar. Um, and that's a trio, and we do sort of classic tunes, pop, rock, and we just put our little extravagant touch on it. And Curtis sort of runs that band. It's a real fun band to play in. We've been playing for about 2 years. It's a trio, and we just have a blast. It's kind of a fun thing to do when we're in town. And so yeah, we played last night at Timothy's Pub in Etobicoke, just outside of Toronto, there, or part of Toronto, I guess. And yeah, Marsha,
And
you
that,
were out. We've had a few people out, and yeah,
and people say to me, but you've seen them once. Why do you keep going? Because, and here's what I tell people: just like out of those 20 shows that you did with Pavlo's band for
yeah,
20 consecutive nights, I went for 4 different shows, and
yeah,
each show was different.
yeah,
Sure, you played a similar repertoire each time, but the way that the song was played was different.
yeah. It is slightly different every night,
Yes,
and because you
yes,
have different, it's kind of interesting now that you mention it. But what I found, it's, we're on the same stage, so the sound is very similar every night, but you have 100 different people there, give or take. So the reaction between 100 people and the band, and then 100 different people and the band, can be different on any given night. I find that when we're touring in different countries, we're in Japan and they're very, they're a little more conservative, but they appreciate it. And then you go to Korea and they're a little louder, and different parts of the world, different cities react differently. And so each night would have a different reaction, and we feed off that. Plus, we could play a couple different tunes. We have a different guest, which made it interesting too. And that was a lot of fun.
yeah.
Uh,
You had some surprise guests there for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Um, One of the things I want to ask you is why did you get into this line of music? Like, what attracted you to music? Because you've been with Pavlo like for over 2,500 or 2,600 shows, so you've been
Yep.
with him 17, 18 years. That's a long time.
It is, yeah. My first show was in 1999 with him
Wow.
at the Montreal Jazz Festival way back. So it's getting close to 20 years, and yes, thousands of shows, a couple thousand plus, and it's just as fresh almost, uh, doing these shows today as it was when it first started. But how I got into music originally was my dad was an accordion player, and he immigrated here from Italy. I've got an Italian background, ethnic background, and he got me into playing the organ, the keyboard, piano, and I studied the conservatory for years and was pretty good at it. And I learned music, and I'd go to festivals and compete a little bit. But after a while, it was just like, Dad, I can't do this anymore. I got to. But what it did give me was a great background in music and reading. And I took that to high school and played saxophone for 4 years in the jazz band, and found it pretty straightforward. And, I don't want to say easy, but because of my background, it was a little easier for me. And that was great too, but I still didn't find the passion I did until I started playing the drums when I was 18, which is a little bit late, but I had that musical background. And when I hit the drums, honestly, it was like the lights came on, and I suddenly had found what I wanted to do in life, not only musically, but just in life in general, which is kind of hard as an 18-year-old, just like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? So from that point on, it was like, I want to play drums and percussion, and I studied and I played like 8 hours a day. Went to Humber College for 4 years, met some great people there, teachers, a great school, networking uh, was all part of that too. So you're going to school and you're learning, but you're also networking. I see a lot of the guys that I went to school with still, and teachers and players, and we've played together. So it's great. Awesome school. Yeah.
So so when did you start studying piano at the conservatory?
I was 8 years old.
8.
Eight,
Okay.
yes. And
So
I did
you
that for about 7 years. Yeah.
so you've been in music like, well,
Since I was
many,
8. So let's just say
many years.
many years.
What? Yeah,
40 to be exact. So if you want to do
40.
that,
Okay.
yeah, I'm 48.
And next year you'll be celebrating your 20th anniversary with Pavlo.
Yes, maybe we should do another 20 nights. No, I'm kidding. I'm
How
kidding.
about
Pablo,
20?
don't book it. No, I'm kidding.
How about 20 nights in Santorini?
Yeah, wow.
You
Yeah,
never know.
there's a rumor out there about Santorini. We won't
You
get
know,
into it just yet.
yeah. You never know.
You never know. We could be playing there.
Yeah. So tell us about what do you have, what musical projects do you have coming up in the next few months? Like, are you doing any, you mentioned you've been in the recording studio
Yes,
recently.
just minutes before we got online, I was just doing some percussion tracks for Grenville Pinto, G. Pinto, the violinist that was featured in Pavlo's PBS special, Live in Castoria. And I had I played all the drums already on it, but now I'm just recording some percussion tracks in my home studio. And so that's one. And I'm also working on two other projects as far as recordings with two other songwriters. Not as well known, but I like working with everybody and anybody who will have me on their albums,
Now,
CDs, cassettes, 8 tracks. Just okay. Sorry.
so when is your next live uh, musical gig that people can go to? Like they may have to drive a couple of hours out of town, but do you have anything within the next week or so on the calendar?
Yes, next week I'm playing with Pavlo in Gravenhurst, the theater up there. And if you go to either Pavlo's Facebook page or my Facebook page or pavlo.com, you can see exactly where we're playing at the theater in Gravenhurst. And there's tickets available there if anybody wants to come out and check out a show, experience us live. It's a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
mean, Marsha, you've been out to a
Oh
bunch.
yeah.
We've had
Yeah.
the kind of cool thing about it is, and it kind of boggles my mind too. It's people want to come back to the show. It's sometimes you see a show and you say, yeah, I've seen it. All right, let's move on. And maybe I'll see them next time they're in town. But people want to keep coming back to the show. I don't know. Um, it's kind of, if Pablo was saying, if you leave with a good feeling, like we've done our job. And so Mediterranean feel good music.
Yeah, that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Mediterranean
And
feel good music.
that's what we want in life. We
Yeah.
just want to get to the feel good point in our lives, and I think that's so important. And we have to surround ourselves by as much positive energy as we can, whether it be people, surroundings, where you live, musically. I mean, anything that you think is positive, I found works for me, and eliminate all the negative stuff in your life. And if you don't like where you're at, you got to change it. And you're the only person who can change your own position
That's right.
in life.
That's right.
I've and I've been able to do it over the years, and I've taken opportunities. Sometimes we don't realize they're there in front of us, and we just kind of just keep going on and going on about what we're doing and go to work and blah blah blah. But if you open your eyes and you're aware and you try to create this positive feel around you, then you'll see these opportunities come up, and you take them, and then you take that first one. You're like, wow, that was great. I took the opportunity to do something positive, and it felt good, and you just kind of go from there. Like taking a chance on music and actually doing it full time was a big step, but I had to do it. I just felt I had to do it. Just playing drums when I was 18 and saying, wow, I love doing this. I think I want to do this as a living, do it for a living, maybe a studio musician, gigs, whatever. And so I took the first step, and it is such, at the beginning of any step that you take toward whatever you want to do, it's always seems like there's this huge mountain, and it's going to take like forever to get up there, and you're just like, oh, I don't think, but you just got to take that first step and take little steps. 30 days later, you've taken 30 steps, and what happens is it compounds. Okay. It's just like putting money in the bank, you know, it just little steps and they compound, and all of a sudden 30 becomes 60, 60 becomes 120, 240, 48. Like things just wow. And then you look back and you're like, you can't believe what you've accomplished. So I hope that's a good message that I'm trying to
Oh, it's a powerful
send out.
message.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Well, it just reminded me of last night. Remember that woman was sitting in the back, and she came right up to the band.
yeah,
I think it was during the break, and she was saying, "Oh, big in Japan. I have a daughter that's teaching in Japan,
yeah,
and she's coming here, and I would like her to have an opportunity to hear you guys." And
yeah,
then one of you gave her a date, and I think that date is going to be will coincide when that daughter is visiting in the
yeah,
Toronto area. Is that correct?
yes,
Yes. So there you go.
yeah.
You know, so big in
She took the
Japan,
chance. Yeah.
big in Japan will be big in Japan.
big in uh, Big in Toronto.
Yeah, yeah, right.
We were
But
so
then,
big in Japan, we had to leave. We were really getting no.
right. But what I mean is, she'll go back to her friends in Japan and say, "Oh, you've got to hear this group, Big in
Yeah.
Japan." You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
and maybe Big in Japan will be big in Japan.
Yes.
So, yeah, very interesting, very interesting. And I noticed last night that you played some of the same songs that I've heard before, but I thought to myself, "Oh, this is a whole different take on the
Yeah.
song."
I
You
know.
know?
That's the kind of fun thing that
Yeah.
happens with Big in Japan, Michael and Curtis. We just kind of, they're very good musically. Like, I mean, we can take a
Yes.
tune and
Yes.
whether it's tempo or the volume level that we're playing it at, very versatile dynamically. And so we, you know, I did a lot of different little things within the songs, but tried to, at the end of the day, give it the best possible feel as possible, you know, as I could. And so people can feel that vibe, that energy coming through the music.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with Pablo. Like, you've got to be so on. It kind of looks simple, you know, when we're playing. It's like, wow, that sounds kind of simple, maybe, but it's very intricate. And musically speaking, everybody in the band on that stage has to be right on and be totally in tune to relay the message that we want to relay to the audience that we're playing for.
You know, the other thing too, wherever people are living, I think, well, I would say, I mean, in Toronto, I feel that we are very fortunate. Like, so for example, this weekend, literally my backyard down at the Woodbine Park near the Lake Ontario beachfront,
Yeah.
for the whole weekend, they're having, I'm just going to call it Afro Fest weekend. So
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of drumming. They're going to have a lot of different drumming groups. And I went to, I think I mentioned to you, I went to a drumming circle on Tuesday night in the same park.
Yeah.
I drummed for the first time literally on a djembe drum. I was going for 3 hours nonstop. It was like, oh my gosh, I just loved it. You know, so there's something about drumming.
Yeah.
And, and I'll probably go back Tuesday night. So, and then the other thing, tomorrow night in Scarborough, which is part of Metro Toronto here, they're having what they call Taste of Lawrence. And they're having a band called LMT Connection. Now, you've heard me speak about LMT Connection. They're going to be playing for 2 hours tomorrow night. Like, they're off the charts too.
Yeah.
So we're so blessed to have music. And I think when people really, if they're really looking for good music, I think they can find it.
In
You know?
Toronto, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, Toronto.
I mean,
Or
we're very. The thing about Toronto, it's multicultural,
yes,
and
yes,
let's for a second touch on that and our influences,
yes,
including Pablo. This
yes,
keep coming back to that because I play a lot with Pablo, and we grew up listening to rock and pop and jazz, and I studied jazz and classical. And he's Greek, his background, so he has you know, that influence in his music, of course. So Toronto is this huge multicultural city with, I think, like 100 languages spoken. And growing up, you know, as I was studying, we could easily go see Cuban music, Brazilian, uh, reggae, rock, um, jazz. many different types. Indian now, you're starting to hear that in the last 10 years. You could hear a lot like sitar based music. So there's so many types of music available to us in the city. And that influences our music as well. And you could probably hear it in the world music sounds of Pablo.
And also on Harborfront this weekend, there's some kind of, I think, multicultural musical get together. And also on St. Clair West, I think it's called Salsa on St. Clair West for the
Yeah.
whole weekend. You know, so there's so much going on in Toronto. And I think probably if people looked, they might be able to find live music where they are, or maybe have to drive a short distance to find it. So I want to take this conversation further. So tell me, what do you think are some of the issues that men specifically, are facing today
Um, in
in any area? Let's say health and wellness, for example.
wealth, that
Health,
that could
health,
open up a whole
health and wellness.
health
Yes.
and wellness. Well, I find I think I spoke to you a little bit about the diet I did, this clean diet that I did, and Curtis introduced me to this book called Clean, written by a doctor in the States. And so I went through this diet and found that it really, really helped me out. So when they say you are what you eat, I totally believe that now, and I feel better now that I've gone through this. So as far as wellness goes, I think not only men but everybody out there, I think if you want to, and the reason why I did this is because I was like, how can I get to the next level as far as everything goes, like my musical performance, just my own well-being, like I want to get to the next level. And we always do. We're striving for higher levels all the time. And one of them is having good energy. And, if you're really like bogged down, it's going to be really difficult to get the most out of your whatever you do, whether you're in, whatever your career is. For me, it's music, and drumming is very physical. So I had to make sure I was in top shape. So as far as wellness goes, I mean, that is something I concentrate now on. I haven't stopped the diet. It was supposed to be, you could do it for 1, 2, or 3 weeks. Well, I'm still doing about 75% of the diet and eating organic food. Um, nobody's perfect, and I'm not anywhere near that, but I try to do that. And not only that, my wife and daughter trying to keep everybody on that, so the whole household is um, on a decent diet. And that, I'm telling you, that could be that little bit of extra, that little edge that you need. So really concentrate on that. Eliminate, again, we were talking about positives and negatives in your life, and some of the negative stuff, as far as diet goes, taking away some of the stuff that you're like, cut back on the sugars and stuff, and everything in moderation is fine. You can have a glass of wine. I still do. I love that. Or have a cappuccino that's got caffeine in it. But you don't overdo anything. And I think balance in diet really helps performance in whatever you do, your everyday life. So I think that's another key thing to performance.
Good point.
Feeling good, right?
Feeling good.
You gotta feel good. Yeah.
Got to feel good.
Yeah.
And finally, what is one powerful tip that you want to leave for men? One powerful tip from your perspective.
Well, I'm gonna sum it all up with what I was talking about earlier, and uh, with positives and negatives in your life, positive things on every level, from diet, finance, your career positioning, people that you're surrounded by, the environment in your house and where you live, all of that stuff. So sort of make or surround yourself with a lot more positive things in your life, and reduce the negative things in your life, and from all aspects of life. And you do that, and I think you'll be well on your way to improving things. Things just start to improve when you do that. And you know what I
Yes.
mean? You just take care of these little things. Okay, get rid of that. That's bugging me. And oh, this is great for me. I'm feeling good. I'm, doing this. And you increase the positive stuff and decrease the negative stuff. And then things just start happening. You start to see these opportunities, you start feeling good. And you know what? Here's another thing. People are attracted to positive things and to positive people. Most people don't want to be around negative people. And as soon as there's any signs of negativity, they're gone. So if you want more friends, if you want more work, if you want to get better in your life, increase the positive stuff in your life. And I'm telling you, it'll work.
That's a good note to end on,
Hey,
Gene.
that is a good.
A good note to end on. And I want to thank you very much today for joining us on Marsha's Moments with Men. All blessings to you, Gino.
Thanks for having me, Marsha. Anytime.
Okay.
Okay. See ya.